We're ready to go.
Okay. Good morning, everybody, and welcome back. Today we're going to work on a little Ryobi weed eater. It tries to run, but it won't idle, and you have to choke it a little bit to keep it running. So that tells us it's probably got a bad metering diaphragm. Now I fooled with this and tried to keep it started for quite a bit, and it runs and it tries to run. You have to turn the idle way up and have the choke on. So let's go replace it and get this thing running. And thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, first thing we're going to do is pull the air filter box off. That only takes a second. And remember, when you're doing these, always take pictures. Take lots and lots and lots of pictures, because there's nothing like getting it all running and you might have it perfect and not remembering how it goes back together. That's a problem. And you'll make life hard on yourself. So once you get those two screws off, this carburetor will hop right off. Kind of, sort of. And since this is all we're doing, we're not even going to take the carburetor off the fuel lines. Remember, before you pull fuel lines ever, or before you work on a carburetor, on a little weed eater, always loosen the gas cap, because you'll have a little bit of built-up pressure in your gas tank. And what will happen is when you take a fuel line off, it'll just come pouring through the fuel line, and you'll empty half the tank out onto your workspace. And you might hear replacing a metering diaphragm. Sounds complicated, but it's really not. All these little two-stroke carburetors have this little flat plate on one side. Now they might have a slightly different looking flat plate on this side, but this little shiny square one is the one you're looking for. It'll just about always be square. Ah, look at that. That one didn't want to be in there by any means at all. So let's see what it looks like. Yep, and you can see all the wrinkles and everything in this one. That's pretty rough. This one definitely is ready to go. So what we'll do is we'll pull the little top gasket off of it, right here. And we do have cases where this is not enough, and she needs a little bit more attention than that. But with this one's behavior, with it trying to run and not quite running, it's almost always going to be the metering diaphragm. And rather than replacing an expensive weed eater, or even spending the money on a carburetor, this little package of metering diaphragms, I think it cost about $5 or $6. Don't remember exactly, but I do know it cost a whole lot less than a carburetor. Okay, this one's got a little tab here, right here. So we want to make sure the little tab lines up correctly. So we'll go ahead and put all these on this and get them all hooked on. That way, when we're doing this and it's time to put it back together, just go straight on. Okay, we got the first screw started. I'm kind of thinking she's going to run after this. Now you notice I didn't put that screw in all the way. You don't want to, because you don't want to take a chance on getting it all wonky. If you have all the screws in before you tighten one, on just about any little project in life, if you get all the screws in first before you tighten any, then you're guaranteed that you're not going to cross thread. You're not going to, well, it'll make it more difficult to cross thread another one anyway. Can't say it's impossible. Now let's get that back on. We've already got our little gaskets and they all look good. Put that on. Let's put the bolts back on and see if she works. Now I can't say yours will be this easy. This one actually went really, really quick. But it's not rocket science either. I can say it's definitely worth more than replacing a weed eater, just because it doesn't sound right. Now when a metering diaphragm's gone, sometimes it won't start at all. And this has got these damnable little bolts, which is specific to this design. And make them snug, not too tight. And let's pump her up and see what happens. Make sure we tighten the gas cap back up. Okay, we got some gas in there. Let's choke her down and try to give her a pull. But before we do that, we're going to clean up the gas on the bench. Just as soon not burn the shop down. There we go. Now let's give her a pull. Okay, now she's idling, but she needs a little bit of a tune. You know something? I'm not going to touch that. It looks like that was the whole problem. Now we buy a lot of these little weed eaters, and metering diaphragms are usually the problem. Now if you leave it sit all the way through the summer and all the way through the winter and don't start it for months at a time and leave the fuel in it, that will require a carb rebuild. If this metering diaphragm had failed, we would have gone ahead and stripped the carb and run the carb through the ultrasonic, but it didn't fail. We almost always try this first, because it's, as you saw, it's really quick and it's a really easy test. If you're doing yours at home, yours may look a little different. It may have 4 screws rather than 2, and it may need a different metering diaphragm, but you can go ahead and take it apart and see which one it is, and then literally go to Amazon and stare at it and look at it and say, okay, that one looks like it matches. If it looks like it matches, it probably matches. There are only a few of them. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. And that one was fun. That was a nice quick fix.